I was always interested in theater and musicals and things like that from watching like Disney as a kid, and I would sing all the time. There's home videos of me just singing my little heart out, and I did dance as a kid because my mom was a dancer and she throughout her whole life, so I got put into dance and I really enjoyed that as well. And then sort of as I went through elementary school and middle school and we did plays and such like that, I realized that I really had a passion for it. I wanted to do theater when I came to high school, and I had never been to a public high school before because I went to Catholic school for all my years before that. So I took like summer classes so I could fit both show choir and theater into my schedule because I had heard from other people at my old dance studio about show choir, and I realized that was something I wanted to do. So I joined theater my freshman year and show choir, and then from then on it just took off. So I heard the musical was Wizard of Oz the previous summer before freshman year, and I loved that movie. It was always one of my favorite childhood things that I would watch. So I prepared a monologue that I found in a book in Strickland's classroom, and I just practiced it so hard. And the song I knew by heart, but of course I practiced that too. And I auditioned, and I ended up getting the understudy for Dorothy, and I was overjoyed. It was amazing. Midsummer was the first Shakespeare play I had ever actually auditioned for, but I always had a passion for it. It was just one of those things I liked to do. I remember when we would read Romeo and Juliet or whatever play, I read stuff by myself and in class, and I just really loved it. And Midsummer was always like one of those plays that I just gravitated towards because it was so interesting and it was funny. And auditioning for it, I ended up getting Hermia, and it was a very, very fun experience. Trumbauer, my sophomore year, I did an individual event where I was singing a dramatic song from a musical from Oliver, and that went well. I ended up going to state for that. And then, of course, the one I played This Is a Test, I played Lana Leffenfeld, and that was it was insane. It was such a different character than I'd ever played before, and it was such a fun show to block and just be in. I had never heard of All Shook Up before Miss Strickland brought it up to me, and I read the synopsis of the play on Wikipedia, and I immediately fell in love with it. It was such an interesting thing, and I was interested in Shakespeare before that, and so since that play is based off of Twelfth Night, I was already so on board with it, and I was hoping that was going to be it. When it was announced, I was so happy. And at first I really had no idea what part I wanted to play because they were all such interesting characters, and I ended up getting Sandra, the museum curator, and that was like such a fun character to play and sing and act. She's one of my favorite characters I've ever played, and overall All Shook Up was just one of the best experiences of my life. Arsenic No Lace was another play that I had never heard of prior to it being announced as the spring play. And I watched the movie with Cary Grant and immediately was just taken by how bizarre it was. And I ended up being able to play one of the old ladies, Martha, and that was very different from anything I'd ever played before. Like learning how to move and act as an old person was very, very educational, and it was just so fun. And the cast was all such a close-knit family, and we all just did. When it was announced that Beauty and the Beast was a musical that we were doing, I was immediately just over the moon. That play has been a part of my life forever. Like Disney was always such a thing I gravitated towards as a child, and Beauty and the Beast was just always that thing. And that character of Belle was always someone I gravitated towards personally, and I worked for the audition so hard as I knew that's something I had always wanted to do, and then getting the role of Belle meant so much to me. I'm still in shock. I still cannot believe it's actually coming true. It's just such a dream that I've had for my whole life, and so I have been working constantly because I want to. It's such an exciting process, and seeing everything already start to come together and working the numbers with Douchin and Strickland is just so fun, and I cannot wait to see the finished product in January. It's going to be amazing. You can already tell. The future is still pretty up in the air. I do know what kind of colleges I'm looking I'm looking at, and I know what field I'm going into. I'm very interested in biomedical engineering right now at this point in my life. It's always been a field that I have gravitated towards because of the amount of people that you can help, and helping people is something that I definitely want to do for the rest of my life. Of course, as like either a minor or just like something I would carry with me, of course, is going to be music. That is something I will have a passion for forever, and it's one of my favorite things in the world.